If you're not familiar with Microsoft Teams, then this video will give you a short introduction on how you might use it for teaching and learning. When you're invited for a microteach, you will receive an email. You can see here I've set up a test meeting. This is my Outlook account, but in this meeting there's a link to join the Microsoft Teams meeting. If you use another email account like Gmail, for example, it's exactly the same. You will receive an email, and in that email will be the link to join the meeting. So when you're ready, I'm just going to click on the join the meeting link and the meeting will open. So there's the meeting open. Before I click on join now, there's a couple of things that you will want to check. So first of all, I'm going to click on this cog here. This will bring up the device settings box, and in here you can check that your microphone and your speakers are working correctly. I'm wearing a plug and play headset device, so you can see here the speakers I'm using are coming out of the headset I'm wearing. I could click on the drop down menu though and choose the speakers directly connected to my computer. My microphone was also in the headset, but I can click on that drop down menu and again choose the microphone built into my webcam. So this is a good idea before the actual meeting itself, ahead of time, to actually go in there and check on your device settings to make sure everything is working correctly. See, my camera is selected there, my microphone and my speakers, and to be doubly sure, when you're happy that everything is selected as you want it to be, make a test call. This will enable you to check your video and your audio and your speakers to make sure everything's working fine. So again, once we've done that, we can click and close that down. But the next thing you need to be aware of is your camera and your microphone. So here, before we join the meeting, I can turn my camera off or I can turn it back on again. But if my camera is turned on, it's a good idea to click on the middle one here, which is to blur my background. So Microsoft have some default picture settings you can choose from. I'm just going to choose to blur my background. This means that nothing behind me can be seen by any participants in the meeting. So if you're working from home and you might have personal private information behind you, that's a good thing to be able to select. I can turn my microphone on or off at any point as well, but I'm going to leave those as they are for now. I'm going to click and close the background settings and I'm going to join now. So what happens now is the meeting will open. So we can see here's the meeting. The menu bar is just there. So this menu bar here is at the bottom. Depending on your version of Teams, your menu bar might actually appear at the top of the screen, but either way it will be there. So a couple of things to bear in mind here. So first of all is the participant list. So if I click on that, it will give a list of all the participants in the meeting. At the minute it is just me, obviously, but anyone who's in that meeting will appear in this box here. If I just go a couple of selections further along, there's a raise your hand feature. If I click on that, you will see that a little gold hand appears next to my name. This is a really useful feature and enables students to ask a question, or if you're busy talking, or they might be watching a video, or they want to say something at any point, they can raise their hand and you will know that they have a question or they want to say something. I'm going to click on that and lower my hand. Next to that is the show conversation pane. So this is the meeting chat pane, and it's a really good place for students to be able to ask a question and for you to be able to answer that question. So again, without interrupting what's happening in the actual session, students can ask a question or make a comment. So it's quite simply I'll type in student answer, but they will be able to ask questions. You'll be able to reply to them. So you can see just my random typing in here, but any student, their name will appear and the question will appear or the comment will appear, and you have the ability to know that they want to say something, what that question is, and you can answer them as well. So at any point you can hide the meeting chat pane. So further along here, I obviously can turn the camera off and turn the microphone off. Probably I'm going to leave my camera on. It's a really good idea to leave the camera on because students need to be able to look at you and know who you are. Microphone, probably you're going to leave that on most of the time, but you can temporarily mute that microphone. So if you're going to cough, for example, don't cough in somebody's ear, mute your microphone and then unmute it when you're ready. This middle one here with the three dots, which is called the ellipsis, brings up the more actions pane. And really, you don't need to worry about any of these. This is just a backup show your device settings, a backup show the background effects to be able to blur your screen. But for the rest of those, you really don't need to worry about any of those settings. You can just leave them as they are. The last thing you need to be aware of is this button here, which is about sharing your screen. So if I click on the share your screen icon, it brings up the sharing screen bar, and you might find quite a load of options in here. Documents you might have opened recently, programs you might have open, websites you might have visited recently. All you need to do is ensure you share your desktop or your window. Okay, so I'm going to share my desktop here. When I go to share my desktop, you can see here that my desktop appears. On that desktop obviously is that test Teams meeting, but now I can open up any Word documents or a PowerPoint or a PDF or a website, a YouTube video, anything like that. I can open that up, and anything that's on my screen here, the participants in the meeting will be able to see. But that's a really good point. Anything that's on your screen, the participants will be able to see. So please ensure that you only have open the things you need for that meeting or for that teaching session. Don't have anything open that you don't want to be showing to students. So once I've finished with that, in the bottom corner here is the control box. So I go to click on the square. This time it has a cross in it. I can stop sharing my screen, and I'm going back to my main Teams meeting screen. Again, I can click on share, and just a point before you do share, if you are going to be doing any audio, please ensure you check that box there which says include system audio, because if you do have a video or you do have sound in your PowerPoint, unless you check that box, you're going to be able to hear the audio, but any students in the meeting will not. So it's good practice to ensure you check that box. So I'm not going to share my screen anymore, but this is a blank screen here, so you can see it's just me in the meeting. The students, not only will the list of students appear in the pane here, in the participant pane, but also they will be here. So you will be able to see up to 9 students on your screen here. If you've only got 6 people in the meeting, then obviously Teams will optimize it so you will just see 6 people, but you will be able to see up to 9, and you yourself will appear in the bottom corner. I hope you found that useful.